Testing. Today's date is December 19th, a Thursday. The year is 2013. We're at Robust Coffee Lounge, located at the corner of 63rd and Woodlawn in the historic Woodlawn neighborhood, south side of Chicago. I'm here for the second part of today's interview with the Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. of the Prisoners of Conscience Committee. We'll be picking up our interview very shortly. Okay, we're back. We're here at Robust Coffee Lounge at the corner of 63rd and Woodlawn in the historic Woodlawn neighborhood. I'm with the chairman of the POCC. Explain to us what the POCC is, brother, and I'm going to tell you why I asked you to open this part. You know what we're going to talk about, but I'll tell you why it connects in. Explain what the POCC is.
POCC, otherwise known as POC, also POCC/BPPC, is an acronym for the Prisoners of Conscience Committee / Black Panther Party Cubs. We define ourselves as the great-grandchildren of Garvey, the offspring of Malcolm, and the ideological Cubs of the Panthers, referencing the Black Panther Party. We are a mass organization. We are an international organization. We are a revolutionary organization that has picked up the mantle and carry on the legacy of which we see was one of the most revolutionary organizations that North America has yet to see, that being the Black Panther Party. So, basically, in a nutshell, better yet, coming out of a jail cell, that's what the POCC is.
Okay, good. And you are the chairman of the POCC.
Yes,
that
indeed.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and the reason I'm establishing that is we're gonna go ahead and get your side of the story on what happened this past December 4th throughout Chicago. It just wasn't on one particular side of town. Is the effects of your father wasn't just on one side of town. In fact, it's like you just said, it's really worldwide. But
no doubt,
we dealing with what's on our plate right now, which is Chicago and the problems that black people are having. So kind of recap for us what your day was like, on that December 4th, this past December 4th.
Well, December 4th was always a emotional time for not only my family but our community. Again, that being the day in which we define which one of the most brutal acts of terrorism occurred on U.S. soil.
That's right.
In which the United States government assassinated 21-year-old Chairman Fred and 22-year-old Defense Captain Mark Clark. Annually, every year, two major events that the POCC engages in is one, the August 30th Chairman Fred's Streets Party, which we acknowledge Chairman Fred's birthday. December the 4th has now become known as IRD, International Revolutionary Day, in which at 12 o'clock Chicago time, we stop what we're doing, clench fists in the air, and we 5-minute moment of silence as we commemorate revolutionaries past and present alike. We have a revolutionary ritual, the roll call, which we run down the list of different freedom fighters that we lost, from Spurgeon, Jake Winters, to Deputy Minister of Health, Doc Satchel. We also run down a list of political prisoners ranging from Rochelle St. Q. McGee, Imam Jamil Alameen, Dr. Batula Shakur, Marshall D. Conway, Move 9, Mumi Abu Jamal, Sunday Adekola, Sekou Odinga, Sada Shakur, who's in political exile.
That's right.
To the C numbers, Illinois, to the the people in general who held behind enemy lines. So these are it's a intense day for us, and you can come around our community where we at, and you'll see like the intensified police presence, giving us a statement that they have not forgotten what December 4th is, and this is like clockwork every year, December the 4th. And the International Revolutionary Day, I definitely want to give a clenched fist to our sister city in Oakland, California. The comrades there had a phenomenal event, in our forces, and also New York and Brazil and throughout the world. There was solidarity statements. Pan Africa for the MOVE organization called right before 12 o'clock, gave a solidarity statement. It was phenomenal. So this year, like no other, it's been a concerted effort by the state to. It's what Malcolm X said, when they can't stop it, they say let's co-opt it, water it down, change it, make it something it ain't to be. And every year we've been out-resourced and out-funded by a number of different institutions, whether it be the City of Chicago administration directly itself or different preachers that they have funnel funds to to have a contending event. You know what I'm saying? To give people the impression on who watered down who Chairman Fred was.
Okay.
And so they would the state actually grabbed individuals who had a disdain for the Black Panther Party or who had no connection to the Black Panther Party or that of Chairman Fred. And again, this year was no different. A powerful entity such as the University of Chicago, which has a history, an infamous history, ranging from its role it played with creating the nucleus and the atom bomb to creating the cabinet of Pinochet in Chile, helped producing many of his cabinet members, to many of the puppets in Africa and throughout the world being trained at this institution, University of Chicago. We go fast forward to, in fact, I think somebody just brought to my attention the other day that Elliot Ness, was even, I believe, was indoctrinated there too.
Oh, is that right?
Somebody just brought this to my attention the other day. And you have the infamous, actually where we're sitting there right now, the infamous Woodlawn experiments, which the University of Chicago, amongst other entities such as Sears and Roebuck, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, had played a key role with the massive land grab right here in the Woodlawn, which used to be a thriving black community. But a crime epidemic was created by funneling millions of dollars to street organizations, and simultaneously the police, do drive-bys just like the other organizations to create a crime epidemic, in which literally drove the black community out of Woodlawn. And the University of Chicago was a major entity with that. And again, President of the United States, Barack Obama, his connection to the University of Chicago. And this is concrete ties to the infamous Daily Machine. But this December the 4th, the University of Chicago had literally grabbed what a lot of people have become to refer to as a lot of the mad scientists, individuals such as I believe Dr. Tracy Matthews, who was who has been consistently for quite some years been facilitator of events, again, to co-opt the legacy of Chairman Fred and the respective organization, that being the Black Panther Party, in which they have I say they to the University of Chicago, as well as those that they have sent out. I say mad scientists, individuals who have literally grabbed people in the relationship with black people in particular. University of Chicago has a relationship of treating black people like lab rats.
Right. Let me
studying them, dissecting them, so on and so forth.
Let me ask you this. I totally get you. I wanna kind of be, as a responsibility. Things that I figure, well, someone might ask this or already understanding, well, people ain't really clear on that. Most times when people hear, well, when the layman hears the university is doing this, and that, they're in the community and they're reaching out and they're doing this, and that, most people think that's a good thing right off. So, excuse me, as I'm listening to what you're saying, I can hear some of my listeners saying, well, what's wrong with that? And everybody's ready to and there's some logic to it. There's a lot of criticism that we see in our community doesn't come out of anything constructive. It's just hateful. And our young people, because that's been their experience. Any criticism that they've received has always been destructive. It's always just criticism without anything that come behind it. So naturally, when they hear criticism, their mind get into that. So I want to take, let's go back a little bit. When you're laying out the history of the University of Chicago and the black community right here in Chicago, I'm sure we can. Some people would say they've got some interest investing in black people across the whole planet in terms of shit that they're doing. But let's keep it local, right here in the city of Chicago. Explain what you mean when you say land grab. Give me an example.
Land grab is a term we struggle for people to use, as opposed to using euphemisms such as gentrification. When you land grab, similar to that with the Native community, how they call it, what a lot of people refer to as the Indians. The natives were literally snatched up and land taken from them. A lot of us were indoctrinated to use terms such as Indian giver. In other words, meaning like the native people just gave the white man his land and then they changed their mind. Nothing could be further from the truth. And a lot of times we see different, you hear terms like the Great Migration, or people just moved or they were displaced. No, there was the people just don't pop up and just disappear. There are concerted efforts by powerful entities laid down. From we can look at how a lot of people lost their land down in the South, with trumped up cases they were given, or new laws coming up, or in which people had to literally leave their land. If people have an honest discussion with their grandparents, you hear different stories about how Uncle such and such was the Klan was chasing them, chasing them from down south, right here in Chicago. If we have some honest discussions, you can look at like how all of a sudden a upsurge of crime happened in certain areas, and right now it's happening right in Inglewood, what they call Chicago. Now they refer to it as Chirac.
That's right.
You have a number of different unexplained murders that happen throughout the community, and that. People say everyone's played a key role, from the Chicago police to the Mexican mafia cartel is connected to these strange murders and crime that's happening in our community. But you see people trying to fly out, get up out the city, leaving their homes their grandparents left to them, and this is the form of land grab. And we see places like Cabrini Green Housing Project. Mm-hmm. Now they just right on the Gold Coast. You see a disappearing black community, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is not just by happenstance, so it's not just having an osmosis. So in the educational institutions have historically played key roles. You can look at Temple in Philadelphia, you can look at in Baltimore, and it's intricately tied to that of not only the miseducation of the community, but the indoctrination, and also setting up policies to be able to, to implement such things as a land grab. And so that's what we see right here in Chicago. The land grab in the University of Chicago has and continues to play a major role. You can look right through the area of Woodlawn, one area of the thriving black community, but a crime epidemic suddenly pops up. We see strange, so we got cases where people, police coming out and just shooting this gun individuals down.
That's right.
And a fear that was, not only the individual was shot down, but the fear that was placed upon their families and their respective communities, where they had to get up out of there. And all of a sudden you say, wait a minute, all the Whole Foods, the different entities that are popping up now in these places that black people previously presided in. So this is what we mean by the land grab.
Right.
Listen, this just not happening by happenstance. It's a strategic effort that's laid down by such entities as the University of Chicago, working through such programs as what they call the Better Communities, Chicago Civic Commission, and other, other organizations. But again, to get a desired effect and desired response, that being the grad property. We see on 67 in Dorchester and other places, which I'll go into more detail about.
No doubt. Okay. And also for the listeners, I want you to imagine, all right, there's been this historic, it's dubious, but it's historic, the assassination of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, 1969, December 4th. Now, what's interesting is we have living legacy and living history around that event. So what is fascinating to me, just on the outside, looking at everything from the outside, your mother, mm-hmm. Akua Najiri. Mm-hmm. Living history. Yes. You can't get no more closer. You can't get no more closer than somebody who was in the room, in the bed.
She covered over Chairman Fred's body when the pigs was vamping.
That's right.
You dig? And this was his wife and his comrade.
How do you have? This is just my problem, and I want my listeners to tune in, comment, get at a brother, any kind of way you want to. Let me know how you feel about it. When you have this as a resource, how can you celebrate said brother and you ain't hollered at sister? What's give us as much as you want to. What's going on with that, bro? How is there And I was aware of a couple of commemorations, celebrations, whatever folk called them, that was going on, and I had little inroads to find out what was happening. People I can call, what's going on, And I do know for sure that nobody hollered at your mother.
It's intentional. It's the same type of arrogance where you see these different entities, such as University of Chicago and other entities where they have programs and panels for so-called gang summits, and you have no actual street organization members on the panel. It's the same. They have thing about hip hop. You actually, you either don't have no individuals from hip hop arena, or you have the more palatable ones, the more softballs or watered down versions, ones they can control. And that's nothing. This is also in the case of such instances of the Black Panther Party, and the Chairman Fred, that they don't. The deal is they don't. How the old saying go? In that movie, was it Army of Men or something? Jack Nicholson's character said, "You can't handle the truth."
Oh, right.
These entities don't. They don't. A few good men. They don't want you to know the truth, and it's intentional. They will go past authentic forces, and it's a war tactic. It's like, Genghis Khan, when he came through China, he had the particular type of Chinese people he wanted to be able to relate the history down to the upcoming generation. You know what I'm saying? This is a war tactic. It's strategic. They want to grab individuals who they could become regurgitators for the ruling class. In other words, repeat what the system says for them. Get watered down. Change certain things around. Don't cross that T. Don't dot that I. And change. Maybe we can switch stuff around. And they will grab individuals who really wasn't getting down when it was happening, and raise them up. Like raise the runt to the litter up, for lack of better terms. And who cats weren't even barking, let alone biting.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Go back and grab these runts to the lid up and hold them up in some sort of pedigree, pedigree K9s, you know what I'm saying? And have them exposed person. And this is definitely the case we've seen what they've attempted to do with the legacy of the Black Panther Party. They've grabbed individuals who, if at all, were in the Black Panther Party for an extremely brief amount of time, or ran out here on first thing smoking December 5th after Chairman Fred was assassinated. And raising these individuals up as some sort of spokespersons, individuals who had prior to the events, they don't have no relationship, no identification with the Black Panther Party, and now these individuals, what we say, are become black when it's beneficial and Panthers when it's profitable. In other words, they go along. A lot of the individuals they had on the panel they brought in for this event, they literally worked for the infamous Mayor Daley machine, go down to Chicago City Hall, no connection. Even when the state had vamped on me, I'm a former political prisoner. I was getting trumped up cases. These individuals, they didn't want to identify with the case, touch down with us. No, they never come out. We had an annual December the 4th IRD, but when the University of Chicago grabs them, transports them in Chicago, raises them up, funds them, thousands of dollars, bring them up, put them up in a hotel, give them their speeches to write, and indirectly related history back to the desired person they wanted to. Because the deal is, this system does not and cannot afford for us to identify with self-determination. That's the major reason they took out Chairman Fred and Defense Lamar Clark. Kind of like in India when they train elephants. If the elephant ever see the trainer step on a cup and the elephant step on a cup, they got to destroy the elephant or get him away, because the elephant will say, wait a minute, how is it that you're in control of me? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm looking at things in contrast. Once people start understanding that this group of brothers and sisters basically range from ages 14 to 24 years old, stood up on their own terms and fought for self-determination, it's going to be a problem. And so that's why even now they still, to this day, they continue to attempt to assassinate the legacy of Chairman Fred. The University of Chicago, let them tell it. Only way people can start grasping certain things is through Saul Alinsky or different white left individuals who taught people how to train. It's never that black people on their own, and you can see the effects. You see I listen to a lot of these so-called progressive rappers, and I heard them say at their own mouth that they learned about Chairman Fred, or they refuse to say Chairman. So they say, I learned about Fred Hampton through Howard Zinn's book, so on and so forth, and that impacts you on who your information first comes to you at. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like you look on the Animal Channel, and a logical question is, why is it that the baby gorilla, they just don't let the gorilla's birth mother feed them or breastfeed them? It's important they have to say, no, get rid of the baby, the same one that kills the gorilla's mother. This baby gorilla, when it opens its eyes, when it's weaned for that milk, the first hand it sees is that white hand with that milk coming into its mouth.
Right.
And they're trying to produce a generation of individuals that say, well, at least if nothing else, the first time we get our information about this Black Panther Party, it got to come through an entity such as University of Chicago. It has to have that safe hand. It has to come through the Tracy Matthews or other mad scientists. So before we know it, a lot of times you can forget where the root of it come from. All you remember is who indoctrinated you with you, who blessed you enough to give you this information.
Right, Tracy Matthews.
Yes.
That name a couple times. Who is sister?
She's in the department. I can't recall her particular department, but in the University of Chicago, and she's been the major liaison with these continuous events. They've, it's not these continuous hits. They've been, bringing in different fraudulent members who claim to be in the Black Panther Party. A major player with this revisionist history that's been played. In fact, the University of Chicago has even went so far as to create a organization, a front. They refer to as the Illinois History Project. in which the community refers to it as the Illinois Mystery Project.
Okay.
Being that we don't know, we know where it's derived from, and they've grasped from individuals that may have been in the party for a brief moment, if that. Billy Dunbar and other forces, and raised them up. And they've grasped such. This past year, December 4th, 2013, they literally, reached out and financed entertainers such as Che Rhyme Fest, and and to hold them up, to be a spokesperson for Legacy Chairman Fred, and it really. A perverted tactic, or we laying out. For example, we putting together what we gonna define the phenomenon of hip hop in this whole phenomenon about these movies, and we getting these different artists to play a role. We've commissioned certain forces, most definitely not only Yasin Bey, Lady of Rage, and they clear on their respective role to play a role. And help getting the word out to the community. This University of Chicago strategically attempted to raise up different entertainers as leadership. Or a spokesperson, you follow what I'm saying? We say the dog wag the tail don't wag the dog. We say what Minister U.E.P. News said, power is the ability to define phenomenon and make acting desired manner. But, and we understand that the movie thing is a phenomenal situation in our community. But what the state attempts to do is to take away our leadership, because they can never let our community understand that you had an organization of people standing fighting for their own terms.
That's
and
right.
So Tracy Matthews, amongst other forces, have been key players and help set up a concert or again a continuing event. A lot of people say, well, maybe they had the same agenda. Maybe they want to. Why y'all can't work together? People have to start asking some logical questions. Why is it that on December the 4th, which is known throughout, people in Stateville prisons, which we call Deathville, way down in Attica and Folsom, they know what's happening December the 4th. You know what I'm saying? At 12 o'clock Chicago time, stop what you're doing, clench fist in the air, get ready for revolutionary roll calls, so on and so forth. So it's not about happenstance. This powerful political economic machine, University of Chicago, will do a continuing event, bring in certain forces that was in the party, again, to say, okay, let's change around. You look at the different propaganda. They had the glossy paper, the funds coming, people bringing people from France in. They had a caricature that was so demeaning that young brothers was walking past this place on 55th and I think Michigan called the Arts Incubator, in which another player with University of Chicago, Theastic Gates, is over there. And this place there, you had young brothers who had never, young brothers and sisters coming out, some were offended, some were ignorant to the fact. They said, man, who was that? They literally said, who was that old winehead? They got sit up in the chair playing the leader of the Black Panther Party, referencing to the fact that all the resources they had tour buses come in, people from France, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But however, they had the Harold's Chicken Shack, an older guy sitting up, looked like he demoralized, sitting up in the chair, a really emasculated looking, looking wicker chair, depicting that of Minister U.E.P. Newton. This is a strategic attack on the Panther Party.
No doubt. Ain't no doubt about that. And we know that Chicago is famous for the strategic attack. You know what I'm saying? And, again, we're going to I don't want to beat a dead horse, man, but it's so important that folk understand why is it important. Like, so many times here, especially here in Chicago, man, it's hard to get people up for the fight. Like, you can make all these points, and it's like, yeah, okay, I see the point, but, why should I care? If you ain't going to do nothing, like I can see some people's response to it. Well, why are you hating on the fact they write a book? If you don't like it, or if you think they ain't do, you just write. Why should we be concerned that the UFC or whoever is rewriting our history? I know the answer to that.
No doubt. Legacies are important. In fact, I believe legacies can be more important than your life. You have a certain amount of time you're going to be here, but legacies serve as a prototype or an example of how you can deal with present and future, like situations. And really, we got to expose these contradictions to really bust out this whole facade about, well, let them do their thing, you do your thing. It's been a lot of recent discussion about the amount of money funneled, no disrespect to the dead, but the amount of money funneled to Dr. King and SCLC from the Ford Foundation and other powerful entities. And it really is a statement that exposes all that nonsense they tell us about. If you work hard, you can make it, or different organizations are, they can make it because they getting the word out. Al Sharpton is said to be in Chicago today. And the state brings them in. You know what I'm saying? They have them set to speak to a captive audience. These children in school. You know what I'm saying? Go to Hyde Park. You know what I'm saying? They lock us. They don't even let us get up in the schools. You feel what I'm saying?
Right,
so it's important that people understand this. You know what I'm saying? It's not that, that he's a good fundraiser or whatever. We need and you have to start asking questions. Why would the state? Who is the state funded? You did. I mean, I remember it was a situation we got in Chicago and we raised up response to one of the blatant police brutality, police terrorism cases. The former mayor of Chicago Daily told us out his mouth, well, if you have a problem, take it to Michael. And he was referencing Reverend Michael Flager. I said, wait a minute, how an individual who we protesting going to tell us who we need to get to be our spokesperson? Right. And that's the issue with these different organizations. The same individuals that study, dissected, and you know what I'm saying, and play key roles in our diagrams, we're creating a crime in our communities. How are they the same ones going to go grab and be our spokesperson for our resistance, for our representatives of our community?
That's
so we have to be clear on that and understand. Because after we beat ourselves up, well, man, we're not raising funds enough. We're not coming from equal basis. It's, equal ground. You know what I'm saying? The state is the same ones that's funding these individuals. We got to be clear on that. It's kind of like in the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company when they were forced to get a company, that acknowledges some of the contradictions about the tobacco industry.
That's right.
They created the Truth Agency, the Truth Ad.
That's right.
So the Truth Ad will come out
and
and say certain things. So wait, who funds them? It's kind of like the game that Mayor Daley them play. They have a inspector general to come in and see what's wrong with the system. You go find out. So wait a minute, he worked for Daley before.
Right.
Isn't this a conflict of interest? When I was in prison, when I was in the concentration camp, I formed Warden Dillon, I believe his name was, in Galesburg. I fought a grievance about how they had destroyed all my property. I go hear the grievance, and his wife is hearing the grievance. I said, wait a minute. I said, y'all had the same. Is this a conflict of interest? And she said, no, it's not. I said, you don't mean that you going home and go to bed with this guy, same last name, is not a conflict of interest. And that's when we see a conflict of interest. The same entities that are responsible for our demise is raising up our so-called spokespersons for our struggle.
Right, no doubt. So that's why it's important that, it's questioned, it's challenged. As far as I'm concerned, I feel it's my responsibility to, if it's anywhere within my means, that I should stop it. I'm of the belief if, you see some shit that's wrong, the very least you can do is feel bad about it in your heart. The most you can do is take your hand and change that shit. So, I don't want to give ugliness too much play. So, unless it's share more with us. I know you needed some things you needed to clear the air about. Going back to things that went on in Chicago.
We had a phenomenal event December the 4th. People came out. There were number 4, Sister K Love, young group of brothers and sister Lyric, and the Cubs came out, full force, Panther Cubs, and phenomenal event. Even survivors that was in the house when Chairman Fred was assassinated, and the people was on Cloud 1000. We filmed one of the major scenes, which was the Panther procession, which we had people reenact the scene. People can't see what happened December 4th, 1969, and it was a phenomenal turnout. And there was a situation later on there's been a lot of people been questioned about at this place they refer to as the Arts Incubator, in which we gonna be exposing who did what December 4th, 2013. There were individuals who we reference as fair weather friends of Chairman Fred. In other words, they claimed the relationship with Chairman Fred when it's beneficial in their interest, such as a filmmaker by the name of Floyd Webb, and other individuals who raised up at this arts incubator, and their position was to defend this bogus event, and we went to call the contradictions out. You did, and what was exposed, what continues to be exposed, is 44 years exactly to the date. 44 years exactly to the date later, after the Chicago police had pulled them, fired over 99 shots in the house of Chairman Fred and assassinated Chairman Fred and Defense Secretary Mark Clark. 44 years exactly to the date. People who claim themselves to be in the party or have known Chairman Fred, they call that same entity, I'm talking about the Chicago Police Department, to vamp on me, to attack me. And that's something that people should understand.
Wow.
We're going to be exposing that. And we the people in the community say they got some of the footage of it. We're going to be exposing it. We want people to be clear who was on what side, because we want history to reflect this. Because so many cases, a lot of individuals come out of the smoker's clear and they raise themselves and they use the vague terms. Well, I knew Chairman Fred, or I knew. No, we got to stop being more detailed about that. In what capacity did you know him? You could have been one of the jailers who turned the key to help lock him up. You did. So we want to be real clear. We want to know who did what. December 4, 2013, at this bogus event. That was at the Arts Incubator. Who collaborated with that event? Who, you know what I'm saying? Who got funded out? Who got cashed out? You know what I'm saying? At the expense of the corpses of Chairman Fred and Defense Captain Mark Clark. So we're going to be keeping people updated. They can look on our blog spot, www.chairmanfredjr.blogspot.com. So we're going to be giving a roll call of who played which role of that December 4, 2013.
Say that blog spot again.
www.chairmanfredjr, chairmanfredjr.blogspot.com.
Okay, I'm gonna give that back out, and I'll post a link to that on the web page for this episode as well. So that I'm doing my duty as an artist. I need to like, as I'm sitting listening to you talk, when you like, man, this is the 44th anniversary, and I'm just thinking about some of the things, the University of Chicago. We understand their relationship with Barack Obama, the 44th president. From what I understand, this event that went on at the Arts Incubator was supposed to be some kind of artistic celebration. So it's all of these things that seem like they are meaningless. They have great significance. Cause
yes, indeed.
In the same sense that it's just something that blew in the wind. It could have been something that galvanized us. It could have been, the thing that put you, that brought it all together. And I find it interesting. Again, it's important that we understand. One of the things that anybody here in Chicago, as we remember Chairman Fred Hampton, one of the things that the lasting things he said, it was because a lot of people like this, they play with this factor, man, the brother faced death and he wasn't scared of it. And, he would make these proclamations like, if it come, when it come, when I'm gone, don't mention my name. If you ain't talking about doing some revolution, don't even have a brother like me on your mind. Mm-hmm. Now here are people who are daring to be some kind of holders of the archives. And,
mm-hmm.
This is what I believe they lust to be for, and whatever comes with that. Yet, just the premise of what this brother stood for, the way that the end came, that on that day, on the 44th anniversary of it, that you would find yourself in a position where you call the police on his son. That's just some, if we can, black folks knock each other over the head all day long, but remember them, the little brothers that went down there and got Rosa Parks? Mm-hmm. Remember them brothers who did that, and we was like, man, how dare you?
No doubt.
They need a special ass whooping.
Yeah.
You understand? This is on that level, bro, and it's just something we got to think about, because we know here in Chicago, and this ain't just some shit that's among the brothers in the streets or the brothers that been to the joint or the brothers who conscious. Everybody know when you call them people, it's a possibility you're going to get somebody killed. It's just some shit you just don't do.
And the deal is, the state they need a green light from certain forces to make that move.
Of course, that your life was put on the line when they did that, and they understood that shit.
No doubt.
Understood that shit.
And we're not going to be liberal about exposing it. And in all honesty, it pains me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I would, I grew up with a certain amount of, I fought to have a romanticism about some of about the struggle. Everybody was getting down for the struggle. Everybody was wholeheartedly into it, and it took quite a while of life experiences and theory and practice to be able to distinguish those that came in this work for different reasons, whether it be inspiration, aspiration, or desperation. It took some time for me to be able to distinguish those that were in the Black Panther Party and those that were Black Panthers, mind, body, and soul. and also distinguish those that sold out as opposed to individuals who were wearing camouflage all the time. And I'm continuously learning. The contradictions are continuously being exposed to me, and the contradictions are necessary. And that was a blatant example. And I've seen, like I said, we exhibit A. We want people to look at that flyer that was put out for December the 4th, 2013, for an exhibit under the auspices of an arts exhibit to be held from December the 2nd to I believe January 7th, I believe, which they had a French delegation come in. Look at, let's do a roll call. Everybody needs to be called a task. Call questions. Why wasn't Nicole and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson, so what wasn't, requested, to lay out what happened?
Right.
Why is it continuous effort to funnel resources and bring people, people in to hijack this legacy? You know what I'm saying? And what role do individuals play? Or are they saying they're naive, they didn't know, or they have nefarious intent? So this and also the blatant contradiction that whether you have any political education, whether you can run down the 10-point platform or know how to read the Red Book or not. You mean to tell me the individuals who claim to have been in the Black Panther Party? You mean to tell me the individuals that claim to have known Chairman Fred? You mean to tell me that these individuals who seen the photographs of Chairman Fred, 21 years old, with his brains blew up by the Chicago Police Department and all Defense Secretary Mark Clark, assassinated December 4, 1969? I don't care if you ain't got, you don't want to say words like socialism and capitalism. You mean to tell me these same individuals, the Floyd Webbs and whoever else stood with them in solidarity or in silence, called the Chicago Police? We're not even talking about no out-of-town entity. We're not talking about they was in Iowa, called Iowa Police. The same uniform, if you have nothing else, the Chicago Police. This is not no conspiracy theory or no rumor that the Chicago Police pulled the trigger on Chairman Fred.
That's right.
This is documented. It's photographs. The police bringing his body out. Chairman Fred is dead. So this is known. And that if nothing else, that question has to be on the top of the burner. What individuals called the police on Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. December 4th, 2013, exactly 44 years to the date after that same entity assassinated Chairman Fred and Defense Secretary Mark Clark?
Brother, I tell you, William O'Neal lives. William O'Neal lives.
No doubt about it.
William O'Neal
No doubt
lives.
about it. No doubt about it. William O'Neal was one of the most known, one of the infamous informers. He, like Maria Fisher, were later on exposed through the court. The people was questioning about him all the time. But the reality, there was a lot more informers, agent provocateurs, other than William O'Neal and Maria Fisher. And a lot of people that was liberal to go along with this here. And it's an open book. That a lot of questions have to be called on a lot of different individuals, and how these individuals are constantly being being raised up to change what role they play and what role they playing now.
Right. No doubt. Well, we're gonna do what we have to do consistently, without question, and these are the things that are going to be kept on the front burner. There has to be accountability. I've got dreams and aspirations, like anybody else, and I've had opportunities that presented themselves to me where, okay, if I do this, I can fulfill this part of a particular want that I might have, but common sense just tell me, and experience, like you said, the theory, and then living out the theory, getting some conclusions, and looking back and learning. It is senseless to invest in the building up of one part of your dream when the expense is at another.
Exactly. Because
what you wind up with is you standing in the same fucking place. Everything balances itself out, and you've done all that sacrificing for nothing. And what kills me about black folks, even when they think they ain't all the way black, they coming up with this new terminology, biracial and all that. And all of this is an attempt to distance themselves from the reality of your ass black.
Yeah.
When you get through playing games with yourself, you can look at the history of when University of Chicago and every entity that's been like it. When they had these lackeys, it's like it's what's incredible about a snitch to me. Is why I understand that a snitch at some point we're gonna find out that is that's why you can profile it and you can see you know the certain types. It's almost like a psychosis. It's almost like a
psychological profile.
Yeah, it's a psychosis, man. And the thing with a snitch is you consider a person before they technically become a snitch when they're finding out what a snitch is. Every definition of a snitch, it always say, yeah, the police will use you, but they don't even like snitches.
No doubt.
They don't even like
doubt.
snitches. Nobody likes a snitch, but something about the psychosis of a snitch, they find that hope that I'm going to be different, though.
Yeah.
You know, when we look at William O'Neal, there was a point in his life as an informant where he thought he was going to be a police.
Yeah.
Now, this nigga knew I'm sitting up, they got federal charges on me. I could never be a cop, but, you know, he get crony dreams. It's like, you know I got 1 foot, and people with 1 foot can't be a cop, but in this Negro, hope against hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and with these people, some of the people who we talked about, some people who have yet to be named, you know, I sit when I look at their antics, I'm like, this is an intelligent Negro, but this Negro ain't intelligent enough to know ain't no pot of gold at the end of your rainbow.
No.
It ain't never been. When you go look at everybody who went before you,
their
ass was burnt before the deal went down.
Yeah.
You ain't no retirement plan. Crony says that in this book.
Yeah.
You know, one of the little things he kept on saying with, you know, some of the elements criminal elements, according to him, that he would be involved with. He would always tell them, "You playing a game where there are no winners."
And you look at when you look at 48 a TV show 48 Hours. It's important that they have that they isolate them. And
First 48.
First 48.
Yes, sir.
And they grab these individuals that they isolate, they detach them from the community and devoid them from all objective reality. And that's how they grab all these individuals who have no interactions with the community, who have a subjective viewpoint or tunnel vision. You know, so it's just it's like I tell somebody, I said, like, you know, all children have are subjective. They in their mind, their parents are just their mother, just their father. It's not their grandmother's son or daughter. It's not their employer's worker. It's their world. The child, a child sees just that. This, you my mother, you my daddy, and the state knows how to grab individuals and put them in a subjective scenario, put them in a room. It's just you and them.
Right.
To get you to become devoid of all outside circumstances or objective realities, and they grab individuals who. You know, in the objective world, they have checks and balances. Just understand, not only were they not members of the Black Panther Party, no, they couldn't even speak for the party in the real world. But once they get them in the University of Chicago, take some of these little petri dishes, enclose them, you know what I'm saying, and tickle their tummies, and you know what I'm saying, stroke their egos. You know what I'm saying. So, well, I can't see it that way. You know, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they do this in entertainment. They go grab individuals who they know they're not the king of these respective cities they claim to be. You know, they know they're not phenomenal rappers. I told some other day, I say, notice, even in particular, a lot of these so-called conscious artists, notice they would strategically, when they open them up, they would take them across seas. They would take them, in particular, to Europe or Germany. And they start off there. So in their mind, this is the first place, they're the blackest thing over there. Mm-hmm. So now, these individuals don't have no connection with the black community in their everyday life.
Right.
However, if you start them off out there, it's like a boxer. You have to get him shadow boxing. He builds his confidence up. Before you know, he dismisses the outside reality. He's not getting punched back.
Right.
When you train dogs, when you train prison guards, they isolate them. And that's what they do. They grab these individuals who they know would not know go-getters, or probably not even the members, wouldn't even in the same room with Chairman Fred. But you get them, isolate them. Mm-hmm. Then you know what I'm saying, then you put them on the podium, you know what I'm saying, like wind-up dolls, let them run their thing.
Right. You know, and it's been the same thing throughout time. We'll just, you know, so I rounded off with something final. And what I know is this, bro, when I look at everything that we're talking about, the main reason that a lot of that shit go down is because they've convinced themselves that ain't no price to be paid.
No doubt.
You know, like basically like what the nigga gonna do.
A criminal psychologist said behavior is affected by consequences.
Yeah.
Behavior is affected by consequences.
Right. You know, and to that I say, you know, everything cause and effect is what it is. Reaping and sowing, it is what it is. We ain't got to invent nothing new. Just, you know, it's just I want to be a reminder to people that there's a price to be paid for your antics. There's a price. That's not a threat.
No, it is what it is, man.
It's cause and effect. It's me being a teacher. You know, if you mix vinegar and baking soda,
anything less is uncivilized and is a disrespect to the legacy of Chairman Fred. For us to idly sit back and watch opportunists and individuals come back and corrupt or co-opt what these individuals get their lives for. Man, we couldn't sleep at night. You feel what I'm saying?
That's right.
And we you know what I'm saying? And we may not sleep on no 1,000 thread sheets, mattress, sheets on those mattresses, but we can sleep with a conscience knowing that we gonna commit to make sure, if nothing else, the legacies of those that gave their life for us remains intact. That the legacies of Chairman Fred, Defense Secretary Mark Clark, Deputy Minister of Health Doc Satchel, Minister UP News, so that courageous organization of brothers and sisters, the Black Panther Party, those who are in political exile right now, the Solid Accords, and so many more. The count names I came with Spurgeon Jake Winters. That we could, man, and we make sure that legacy, that example, is still kept intact for this generation and future generations.
That's right. And I was looking, before you and I got together, I went through a whole bunch of Panther footage, and, just some of the things that happened. And I forget which clip it was I was looking at, but I just thought it would be a cool way to end this discussion, because this discussion is going to be the start of a greater discussion on Aboriginal radio, right here on Aboriginal Radio, and that is, we all know that the Panthers, when it comes to the effects that a thing has had on a body of people, is oftentimes the things that are very practical, and one of the just in terms of the daily reminder that we had of what Chairman Fred Hampton and Brother Mark Clark, what they did for Chicago, what they left, as a teacher, my students get to come in the building every day and have breakfast. Mm-hmm. And I understand what a difference that makes. Some simple, practical shit like that. When you get through with all this high talking and all the references, you finna give me a who said what, when you can put
basic program,
basic shit, basic
people
shit,
identify with
basic shit. Breakfast for Children program, and I heard there was somebody in the crowd, white boy, jumped up and said, we started the Breakfast for Children program, and they want to start the Children for Breakfast program. And when you look at it, when you look at everything that you said when you were talking about the events and how they, they had the tour buses coming in, they brought motherfuckers in from France, all of which I'm aware. I got calls about they're coming in, they're doing a music project. You want to come and do your podcast and with all of that, when you look at the bottom line, because at the end of the day, for me, where it is where I get to observe them is in trying to serve black youth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And we keep bumping heads there, like, the same shorties I'm trying to holler at, because I know that they're in crisis. These motherfuckers that they trying to holler at. And what I know is that I'm trying to get the children some breakfast. Mm-hmm. And these motherfuckers trying to find a way to have the children for breakfast. And that's just, the shit's beyond metaphor. Especially in this area, is so important, and that's part of the reason why, as we're trying to figure out where to do this interview, it's not only is it like it ain't really no options when you look around, and I wish that my listeners and for those who live in Chicago, go in that area, 63rd and Woodlawn, and just take a drive and just know that one day this used to be thriving. There was a movie, and here's the shit that rubbing in your face. They got this place, Black Cinema House. They showed a movie during the summer called Monkey Hustle. Now, the shit bothered me because I remembered Monkey Hustle from when I was a shorty. It was Yafet Kodo and some other people in it, and it was about land grabbing. And it took place right here where we at on 63rd Street. Wow. The premise of the movie was that they was bringing a highway through here, and they was trying to get rid of these people over here. And what happened was the pimps, all the hustlers, the preachers, and the black revolutionaries, they all got together for this monkey hustle to kill this project, which they did. Now, what I enjoyed most about the movie was that it was actual footage of life on 63rd Street in this movie. When they're showing the footage, you see the Woodlawn organization, all they sign was up. All of this was thriving. Wow. And what they played with us in the movie, like what they were fighting against, this is the reality right now. Mm-hmm. This shit is white clean. This joint that we sitting in is the only joint that's over here. Even the houses, which are new constructions that they got here, most of them are vacant because we can't afford to move in them.
Real talk.
You know, and we know the legacy of this Bishop Brazier, along with the University of Chicago, was responsible for this. And
he was the fiscal agent when the money came down to the different street organizations. Brazier, the fiscal agent.
Yes, sir. Now,
you put up in his church service without no Lexus, they like to get your car towed.
You understand what I'm saying? And what I know, and what I'm going to do with Aboriginal radio and every artistic bone, manly bone, whatever kind of bones I got in my body, is there is a successor to him. Mm-hmm. Somebody then picked up where he left off, because these motherfuckers ain't stopped. It's still on and popping.
Yeah, they call from the Woodline Experiment to newer communities to, in fact, his son, Brazier Jr. Yeah.
So I want my listeners, y'all stay tuned. Y'all keep y'all eyes open. Get out there. Get on YouTube. Get on the internet. Google Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Google POCC. Get out there, support. You know, it ain't about, we ain't getting no money off you making no clicks. This shit is truly about getting truth and information out there. We want you to go check that shit out, not because there's some advertisement on it, but this is shit you need to know about.
Yes, indeed.
You know, like we're sitting up here now, a lot of us in our mid-40s, early 50s, shit like that, and just figuring out shit that happened 20 years ago. We got to get the fuck from behind the 8 ball. Mm-hmm. You know, like we sitting up waiting on them. They said after 75 years, they going to tell us what happened to Kennedy. And, we sit and wait on that shit. That shit is going to be useless to you in 75 years.
Malcolm told you what went down the first day it happened.
You understand what I'm saying? So we just want you to be more aware. Ain't trying to make you do shit that you already didn't want to do, but anybody who's looking for the truth, we want to make sure that there's some people out there struggling to make sure that shit exists. Anybody who want to know what's really going on, we want you. It should be somebody who will tell you what the fuck is really going on. I've been places and trying to get directions, and motherfuckers won't even stop and talk to you. You know, it ain't gonna be that. And for people who choose to play a certain position, you're going to take everything that come with it. I ain't trying to make no enemies. I was on what I was on before I met any of these motherfuckers that's out here. Yes, so, pick your fight. Stick with it. I'm going to pick mine. We're going to stick with it and let the chips fall where they may. Again, we want to thank Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. of POCC. My name is Orion Kenyatta.
Thank you.
We're in Chicago, Aboriginal Radio. We're going to have Chairman Fred back, so y'all keep on checking with me.